All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the Sacramento Kings. They are coming off a season where they won 48 games. They were the third best team in the Western Conference. They ended their 16-year playoff drought. They scored 120.7 points per game, which was the best offense in the NBA by far. There's a lot of things going right for Sacramento right now. Unfortunately, the way the season ended, losing to the Golden State Warriors in 7 games, it kind of is leaving this bad taste in my mouth. So we have to zoom out and we got to remember the bigger picture here. Sacramento is a great young basketball team that extremely exceeded expectations last year. Like, not even close. We've talked about this. We talked about this last summer. We talked about how good the Kings were and how nobody really notices it other than Kings fans at the start of the season. They continued to improve. They continued to build and grow as a team. And honestly, even though it was a first round loss, I don't think any Kings fan right now is complaining about the way their season went last season. All it comes down to next season is the continual development and player progression of your current guys, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, Keegan Murray, et cetera, et cetera. And honestly, just getting depth pieces and helping out that defense. We talked about it, right? We'll talk about the Kings, some potential free agents. We'll talk about the draft. We'll talk everything Sacramento Kings in today's video. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button. I post daily NBA and NFL content. Kings fans, you guys always bless my videos. If we could get this video to 100 likes, that would mean the world to me. So just defensively speaking, last year, that was obviously kind of their pitfall. And we knew about halfway through the season, we knew heading into the playoffs that their rim protection just wasn't good. Right? They averaged just 3.4 blocks per game, which was the second worst in the NBA. They were a bottom 10 rebounding team. They were a bottom 10 offensive rebounding team. We knew their limitations. We knew what their pitfall was going to be. Thankfully, they actually got paired up against Golden State. Kevon Looney turned into like Hakeem, honestly, in that playoff series. But it's just clear what Sacramento needs to do. Now, there are a couple of question marks before we head into that. The good news is financially, they're still flexible. They're under the luxury tax. They are just a financially flexible team, right? So the big free agent right now is Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes, in the final 2 games of the first round against Golden State, scored a combined just 10 points. He crumbled like a cookie. It was very unfortunate, but we're looking at a 15-point per game scorer. We're looking at a sturdy, solid, versatile power forward, can play the small forward. He can shoot threes. He can defend. He can switch on to a multitude of different position players. It's the question mark right now. Is Harrison Barnes going to be back? Personally, for me, I would say 100%. Bring back Harrison Barnes, maybe on like a $15 to $17 million contract. Bring Trey Lyles back. Once you retain those 2 players, your team's very similar to what it was last year. You still have De'Aaron Fox. You still have Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter coming back after their first seasons with Sacramento. You've got rookie Keegan Murray. You still have Sabonis. Outside of Rashawn Holmes, I highly doubt this team actually makes a trade. I don't think, Bradley Beal right now is the big name. I don't think Bradley Beal on the Sacramento Kings long-term is the best idea, especially with that contract. I think that would be shooting yourself in the foot. If we're talking trade candidates, trade targets, the guy I'm looking at is OG Anunoby. However, I think OG stays put in Toronto, and I think, if he doesn't, it's going to come down to Memphis, Sacramento. I know New York's in there as well. I don't think OG Anunoby honestly gets traded away from the Toronto Raptors. But if he does, the Kings are definitely a big name to watch out for. Finally, Kyle Kuzma, I also think will be back as a Washington Wizard, but Kyle Kuzma fits what I'm looking for in Sacramento very nicely. But those are the home run. Those are the 10 out of 10 big name trades or signings. The guys I'm really looking at are mainly versatile big men. All right. I'm looking at Brook Lopez. Unfortunately, if you've noticed the reoccurring theme here, it's not the best free agent class. And I also think Brook Lopez will be back in a Milwaukee Buck uniform. But if he's not, the Sacramento Kings should do everything in their power to pick this dude up. He can protect the rim. He averaged over 2 blocks this past season. Once he came back from injury, Brook Lopez played almost every single game last year. He played 78 total games. He can get you double-digit points. He can shoot the 3. He can score in the paint. He's a savvy passer. He lets the game come to him. He's just a sturdy, solid veteran for this team. And Brook Lopez isn't a player at this age where you're playing him 30 plus minutes a night. It's not going to get in the way with Sabonis. One thing I did notice with Sabonis in the playoff series that I just want to touch on, it's kind of off topic here. The Golden State Warriors were letting that dude shoot anything, like literally anything and everything. Would like to see him be a little bit more aggressive, like we kind of saw in Game 7 where he had, 20 something, 24 points, something like that. That's just something to note. Naz Reid and Al Horford are like the two, I think, that honestly one of them will end up a Sacramento King. I think Al Horford is perfect, just like Brook Lopez. I mean, he's a little bit slower, but he can still extend three. He can still shoot threes, extend the floor for you. He can defend at a high level. He can switch on, even though his age, and he's a little bit on the slower side. He can still switch. He's still a great rim protector. He's going to lock down that paint. He's going to help out Sabonis. And just like Brook Lopez, it's not a guy you're playing 30-plus minutes every single night. Not going to get in the way for Sabonis. Naz Reid is just a scorer. This dude is a hooper. I think Naz Reid is ready to break out to whatever team decides to pick him up, take a chance on him. I know he's interested in going back to Minnesota. I actually love the idea of him coming off the bench for Rudy Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns, because this dude literally will just come on the floor and get you some rebounds. He'll even get you some blocks, but he'll score like 10 points in 10 minutes like it was nothing. It's very efficient field goal percentage, by the way, too. He'll go like 5 of 6 in 10 minutes and just score you 10 straight points. So Naz Reid, Al Horford, Brook Lopez. Now, depth pieces, those are all great depth pieces. Speaking of great depth pieces, PJ Washington Jr., I know he is currently on a restricted free agent, or he's a restricted free agent. If you throw him some money, if they throw him, like let's say the Kings don't want to bring back Harrison Barnes. Well, what I would do is I would give Harrison Barnes money to PJ Washington Jr., because this is a player who had a sneaky good season last year in Charlotte. He's on a bad team. He's not getting too much press. He can play power forward. He can play center. He can play small forward. He can guard all of those positions. He can realistically guard 1 through 5, or at least hold his own against 1 through 5. He can knock down threes. He's just a great depth piece who honestly might even turn into being a star type of player, but he's extremely versatile on both sides of the ball. And that's what I'm looking for with this Kings team, specifically on the defensive side. I would also, if you don't get Harrison Barnes back and you get PJ Washington Jr., I'd bring in a cat like Reggie Bullock, who's going to knock down those open threes. He's going to do his thing on defense. If you can catch the trend here, I just want like 2 or 3 veteran. They don't need to be big-ass stars. They don't need to be Kyle Kuzma. It doesn't need to be Bradley Beal, OG Anunoby. It can be Brook Lopez, Al Horford, Naz Reid, PJ Washington Jr., Reggie Bullock. What I want is what they did last season, but just a couple of more pieces that are more tailored on the defensive side. All right. Also got to bring in, just like veteran leadership, holding these young guys accountable, showing them, paving the road, right? Just showing these guys what it takes goes a long way. So depth pieces that help out the defense. That's all Sacramento needs to do. They don't need to break the bank. They don't need to make any big trades. You can still take your draft picks. Like, you don't need to do anything crazy, and I don't think Sacramento's going to do anything crazy. That's it for today. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NBA content. If you guys want more Kings videos, let me know down below. But name some targets you want the Sacramento Kings to go after in the comment section. Peace.